Now, what you probably wouldn't expect to see is someone with liquid nitrogen doing something like that.
I am Blunty. Now, just quickly, while the noise level is low, I tell you what, I am Sydney. The hype is hardcore this year. It has been such a dense and noisy and excitable show. Every corner of this place is just filled with noise, and it's been real hard to find a spot where I can record stuff to camera for you guys without being swamped with a wall of noise. But this is one of those periods where everyone's going to shut up for the moment. So, one of the examples that I saw shown at the event about the difference between what Generation 9 versus Generation 8 can do as far as the Intel chips are concerned was very telling, because on paper the difference between Gen 8 and Gen 9 doesn't look that vast, but that sort of fine tuning between those generations was really clearly demonstrated when they did an overclocking demonstration here with liquid nitrogen cooling, so extreme, competition level liquid cooling. So I can already hear the show floor is getting loud again, so I'm going to stop it here and sort of see if I can boil it down for you. See what I did there? Because liquid nitrogen boils off, and just know that it was a clever segue.
Here is how many frames can we get in the CSGO benchmark. Now, last year we happened to go through and...
I was about to just ask us, yeah. Okay, cool.
Unknowingly go about setting a record. It was around 750 odd frames per second in CSGO, the source benchmark. However, I think we're going to have an attempt at going faster still. So we're just going to continue bumping up. We tend to find liquid nitrogen the simplest and easiest. There are other solutions that we can use, such as single stage phase change cooling, cascade phase change cooling, dry ice, all fun sub-zero stuff. So we're going to go down to minus 80 degrees Celsius. Liquid nitrogen has a boiling point at atmospheric pressure of minus 196 degrees Celsius. So it's very, very cold. It's going to be below that temperature to be a liquid, and even lower to be a solid. And that's actually going to be getting pretty close to 0 Kelvin, but that's getting all sciencey and nerdy. Let's get back to the fun. The fun is we've got a Core i9 9900K running at 5 gigahertz playing a bit of CSGO under liquid nitrogen. Now, what you probably wouldn't expect to see is someone with liquid nitrogen doing something like that. Now, unless you know what you're doing, you don't want to be pouring liquid nitrogen on your hand. However, there's an effect that actually occurs where your hand is going to create a bubble of air between the liquid nitrogen and your skin. So again, I don't suggest ever doing that at home. So again, I don't suggest ever doing that at home. I don't suggest ever doing that at home. But for a brief moment, it's not going to burn you. Leave it there or cup it in your hand, and you're going to feel the pain real quick. So that's a quick little bit of safety there. But let's get back to the technology. So we're using a Z390 based motherboard from Intel. That's a gigabyte unit there, I do believe, Jordan? Yes? All right, fantastic. And a gigabyte graphics card as well. We're playing some CSGO. We're currently cranking along at 5.5 gigahertz. Yep. Not too shabby. 5.5 we can see up here in the corner. So we're just going to keep ticking things along, keeping in mind we came in at the start of this at 5 gigahertz. There we go, 5.8 gigahertz. So this is where what we're showing here is the versatility of the CPU to be able to adapt while mid-game being fully utilized, as well as the cooling being able to adapt the capability of the CPU through reducing the thermal envelope. We have prepared this beforehand, so we've got a system here that reliably we know can do some pretty decent results. And so as you've seen, we've gone from 5 gigahertz up to 6 gigahertz fairly easy using this lovely liquid nitrogen. But right now, we're going to go a little further. So at the moment, Jordan's just pulling the temperature down. We're now below minus 120 degrees Celsius.
They did in fact keep going and crept all the way up to a whopping 6.8 gigahertz. 6.8 gigahertz overclock, stable, running the benchmark. Unfortunately, in my zest for that cool looking slow motion nitrogen vapor, I forgot that my camera doesn't record audio at the 180 frames per second setting. Derp. But
The point of all this is clear already. It's while on paper the 8th and 9th generations share quite a lot of common ground, the refinement of the architecture is the important thing. It gives you not only more performance per clock tick, but the efficiencies gained allow for even better overclocking, and in your normal day-to-day stuff, away from the spectacle of liquid nitrogen cooling, this means that your 9th gen CPU will run faster and cooler, and if you want extra juice out of it, it will overclock easier.
Architecture has been sort of really nailed down, fine-tuned, honed to its utmost performance, and that's kind of what happened in 9th generation. There goes the announcement again. I'm going to sign off now. Leave your comments in the down below area. I love shooting the liquid nitrogen cooling. It always looks cool in slow motion, doesn't it? And by the way, in case it wasn't clear, don't do that at home, doing the pouring liquid nitrogen on your hand. The Leidenfrost effect is scientific facts, but I wouldn't risk it. I wouldn't let him do it to me, is what I'm saying. Unless it got me a lot of views. Might be worth doing, actually. I'm going to go find him.